Hello. 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 Hello.
You guys are the best. Man, you guys are insane, hilarious, and the best stuff I've ever seen.
That's right. Chris and Ray.
Hey, I got through! I can't believe I got through! Well, I'm glad you guys are around because I didn't even know you existed.
Hey, how are you, Motormouth?
This is one of those days, nothing to do, so I figure why not spend it with a couple of nobodies.
You're up on the webpage.
Boy, you taught me something about that car.
Why must you ask such difficult questions?
Much about motors.
Do I come running to your show?
We love you guys that have these shows.
Our trained staff of two.
Is that car show that I listen to? Oh, you distributed capital land and port condenser. All over me. I finally got a chance to listen to you guys streaming. I'm in a good mood. I'm happy.
Yeah, I want to know what is wrong with my car.
I haven't even called my own mechanic back, but why don't I ask you?
But you guys are pretty special guys. With that.
Yes.
Let's just think right now, Murphy's Law, what's going to go wrong? Is the board going to explode? Is the mic going to drop? Is my phone going to drop? I love live radio. I'm just having some fun with you guys.
Sometimes correct ones. We may have them.
This is Motormouth Radio, your one-hour automotive talk show. And now, here are your Motormouths, Chris Switzer and Ray Guarino.
All right. Automotive talk show right here in the of America, Garden City, Raw. I'm Chris Switzer, and of course, who's just right for sitting behind the shop bench? It's Ray Guarino. How are you, my brother?
Very cool, especially when the shop bench is out of school. And I fit in perfectly.
Yes, you do. That's right. When school's out, the shop bench is in. Or something like that. How you been this week, my brother?
Yeah, busy.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah?
I'm running down the cruise night season. We went to East Rockaway on... I went myself on Monday.
You and your car.
Well, I met some friends. Met a couple. Jeff the Glass Guy was there, and his cousin, and a couple other friends were there.
Now, tell me if I'm wrong, but you've been getting the red carpet treatment when you go down there. People come up to you and they go, "Hey, you click or click."
Well, Richie, the fellow that runs it from the Southside Boys, yeah, he's a good friend of the Centurion Cruisers. And
right.
In fact, he's got to back me in the first night and gave me preferential parking. He said, "Hey, you in the Centurion Cruisers?" I'm like, "No, I just stole the plaque and put it on my car. What do you think?" So Richie's a very, very cordial host. But that ended this week because he had to go to work. He drives a school bus, so...
So much for that.
There was the end of that. And tonight is the last Limbrook cruise night.
Oh, okay.
And I'll be going down there and having burgers and beer at, I think, McQuaid's Pub with Jeff and his cousin, because tonight they're going to raffle off a 32-inch TV, and I want to win it. I've been absolutely terrible with the 50-50s. I've been buying 50-50s at each one of these, and at East Rockaway, he did a 100 raffle.
Right. And?
A 100 raffle that pulled in like $425.
Wow.
I thought he personally should have broken it up into a few people, so he could have made a few people happy instead of one.
Instead of one, yeah.
And I didn't win that either, so I probably won't win anything. But, this is the last night for Limbrook, so we'll go down and support them and, and see some friends. That's where I was hanging out with Gary Comfort, Gary the local brush, last week.
Oh, yeah, I saw the picture that you posted. You didn't post. You just sent it to me.
Yeah,
you posted it to me.
I did. I didn't post it anywhere. But yeah, I'll be hopefully hanging out with Gary again tonight. Again, these are the events. The cruise nights are my preference over a car show per se.
How come?
Unless it's the right show, and I'll explain that later.
Please.
Because the cruise night is an informal thing, and a lot of guys do the same thing they do at car shows. Boom, they set up their lawn chairs in front of the car and they sit there like stones until it's time to go home. You know what? I can sit in my backyard like a stone. No, I like to walk around, talk, network, get a slice, this and that and the other thing. So that's what it is. It's a great place to network, meet people. That's how I met the guy that has the TR6 that I'm going to pin down tonight if he's there. Like, hey, you never emailed me about the tires, buddy. What's going on? It's social networking of the car guy style.
Yeah, I guess my tires, I think they were old when I hung them on the car 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely in the market for them. I appreciate it. Thank you.
But that's what you do. You can even find parts for other people's cars.
You're right.
You're
absolutely right. And usually when you find a guy with a TR6 or any sort of British sports car, not only does he have the vehicle he showed up to the cruise night with, but he's got a whole host of parts for it stashed somewhere in his house. because that's what you have to do. When I went looking for the TR6, I wanted to find just the car. Do you know who sells just one British sports car? Nobody. Because everybody tells you, I got the car, I got a second car, I got a third car, or I got these huge sheds filled with parts for these cars. I'm like, all I want is the car. And they won't sell it. They'll tell you, no, car and all those parts too. So bring a truck when you come and get the car. I'm like, no, I just want the car.
Interesting. I was watching Counting Cars this week, and Danny Coker went to look at they found an Auburn Speedster replica.
Oh, okay.
But it was a 32 replica, very nicely done. It was it was an older one that needed work. It needed restoration, but it was all there.
But it was an Auburn replica, so it was on a late model chassis, like a Cadillac or a Lincoln chassis.
Sure. But the replicas, like he said, usually in our world, he was saying this in his world, the collectability and the restoration world, replicas are not worth nearly as much as the real thing.
Of course.
Cobras are an example of one.
There are exceptions, that being one of them.
And the Auburns are too, because there's so few real ones that are worth so much money.
Oh, yes.
You're almost forced to have a replica if you want to have anything at all. And he went down to the name of a couple of companies who made them and said this company had been a very good company for reliability, for fit and finish and things like that. And and he's talking to the owner. Well, we thought the owner. And the guy said, yeah, it's my boss's car. Oh, your boss's car? He goes, yeah, I'm storing it for him. He goes, he brought this out of California, and we just had to keep it somewhere. He says, I got two more. He goes, you got two more? He goes, yeah, in the backyard. So they go in the backyard, and there were two more in like skeletal condition.
Right.
So he really wanted to make a deal to sell all three, like you said.
Right.
But Danny wasn't having it. He wanted just the one, and he would have bought the one, but the boss had said he put a $100,000 price tag on it. And Danny said, listen, this car in this condition, needing restoration, that's over my head. I have to pass. Thank you. It's a beautiful car, but find another fish, or call me when your boss drops his price.
Right.
Now, maybe if he said 100 for the three of them, I wonder if he would have bit. I don't know. Can you raise me up to about...
Oh, I sure can.
Thank you.
There you go.
Now we can answer the phone.
All righty, let's answer the phones. Let's go to the phones in the fun and say hi around with the Motor Mouths.
Morning. Surprise, surprise. I'm watching your ugly mugs on Vaughn TV.
Hey, it's the Bronx.
Waving back.
Yeah, but you're only using one finger.
Well, yeah, that's one finger slow. Oh, by the way, Chris, you got to get some makeup on that bald spot. The shine is killing me.
Oh, then I should go to your makeup guy. How's that?
Pancakes are us. He's the guy at the funeral parlor down the block, right?
Is there anybody you can recommend?
He uses a trowel, not a brush.
Hey, not even a problem. Go see my friend Alex. Alex in Wonderland. He'll tune you up good for the paintbrush.
I've actually been seeing him at the Belmore cruise night.
Yeah, I got to give him a call. I haven't talked to him in a while. In fact, I got to make some contacts. It's been so busy over here. I just saying, with car season, and everything's starting to wind down. We're in the same mode here. September, by the end of September, everything is wound down with the cruises and the car shows and all that stuff.
Sure.
And then people start getting ready. You made an interesting point, and it comes up about replica versus kit car.
Yeah, you're the guy to ask about this question. Yeah, you're definitely a subject you know a lot about.
Quite a bit. Well, I've been building kit cars, and I do have a replica. Just to clarify, a kit car is a fiberglass body generally that you buy, and then you create the donor car, and you actually build the car in your garage. That's considered a kit car.
Okay.
Replica is a factory-built turnkey car that you don't buy the components and put it together yourself. So there's a distinction between the two terminologies.
All right. But now my question to you is, where do you get a brand new Zimmer, or where do you get a brand new Excalibur, or an Auburn replica? Where do you go for those things? Do you find them in the back of magazines or something?
Well, they have, you go to Hemmings, that's one. You can find them over there. Or you get online. And that's how I was looking for a Zimmer, because I wanted a replica. I have the Zimmer, as you know, which is a replica of a 36 Duesenberg.
Right.
They're still building them. They're building them out of Florida. There are a few companies around in the States that do build these cars, but they build them on consignment, which means that you order the car in this color, and sometimes you have a choice of power plants. Sometimes it's just a one-off. The donor car is, for example, my Zimmer is a Mustang LX. So they built all the Zimmers on Mustangs or Cougar chassis. Right. Some of the bigger cars, like the what the heck is that? Like the Duesenberg, replica Duesenbergs, the replica Excaliburs. Some of those are built on truck chassis, Chryslers or GMCs, depending on the length of the frame and the weight of the body. Also, most of your kit cars are fiberglass. A lot of your replicas are combination steel and fiberglass. For example, the Zimmer, it's all steel cab, all steel hood, frame connectors all underneath, all welded in, box girder, and then just your fenders and running boards are fiberglass. So there's a lot to it.
Okay.
One good thing about the replicas is that when you buy them used, you get them at a great discount, as Ray mentioned. All right, there's no way you're going to get a car
because you're buying someone else's headache.
It depends. Now, that's one good thing about a factory car, because the donor car is all factory complete. You're not buying something. I used a Chevy motor and a Ford transmission and a Jaguar rear, and I used the wiring I made that I pulled out of the wall of an old house.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. The wiring issue alone is probably hell to design for someone else's wiring mess.
And that's one thing you find, especially when I do a lot of these work on some of these older cars, that Joe Bo in the backyard. Well, I had some.
Right. Yeah.
And I had an old telephone cord.
Yeah. You're going to find zip cord in there along with wires from a stove or something, and that's what kind of shies me away from all of these.
Right, with the kit cars.
Yeah.
Right, with a replica, you pull the factory manual. Like my reference book is the '85 Mustang service manual. Wiring, the right wiring codes. The parts code casing is the hard part. Is finding out, especially on the newer cars, where your relays are and the sensor wiring harnesses, the amount of fuse boxes. Is that you got to just take a little time and trace that there's a problem, but it's traceable and it's doable with a little bit of patience. But when I buy these cars, you're buying it that you're going to have to maintain the vehicle. Or if you bring it to Ford, if it's a Ford-based car or Chevy, you're going to get hung.
Right, because after they stop laughing, then they'll.
Yeah, then you start putting your hand deep in your pocket, and all those Confederate bills that you had to fast all these years, you're going to spend.
Right, because you got a counterfeit car, so of course you're going to have counterfeit bills.
There you go. See that? You're figuring it out. But another good thing about buying a replica or a kit car, depending on what it is, you could drive these things on a regular basis, and they don't appreciate in value.
Right.
You get like a real Warbird, you're not going to take that on the road and have the possibility of a road chip or break a headlight lens, because where are you going to get a part? You're not.
Right, a 36 Auburn Speedster is, forget it, you can't even replace them.
There's no way in hell.
Right.
And you're not going to jeopardize the value. Those are collectibles, where people buy these things for investment vehicles.
Right. Yeah, Ray had said that earlier, he mentioned that.
Like the Cobra. That's a perfect car to run around. You get a Cobra kit car, Cobra replica, that kind of thing, and you can have a ball with it. You could drive the damn thing, and have a good time with it. And that's the fun part about it, is that you enjoy the car. That guy took the Zimmer out last night. And another thing, you get a lot of people talking. Like Ray mentioned, that's what I like about the cruises as opposed to car shows, is that everybody's walking around, right? And that's where you network and you talk. And it's just conversation. You meet interesting people. And you also find a lot of parts. If you have an older car, I got this, and my buddy has this car. And you find parts, you find people, or questions that you may have a problem. Should I do this? Should I do that? Well, I did this already, or my friend did this. And you get good information. So even if you're a novice into the car world and you're thinking about getting let's say a hot rod, or you're getting a classic, or you're getting whatever you want to get, go to the car shows, go to the car cruises, and go talk to people that have cars that you might be interested in, and find out the do's and the don'ts on the cars. Well, this is a good idea, but you can't get this, but there's plenty of these parts around.
No, it's
just
true.
With that, and you meet a lot of interesting, and generally the car club people, they're generally really nice people and real sociable and real verbal.
Verbal is definitely,
that's an understatement.
Right, definitely verbal, that's for sure. But no, you got a good point. Have you brought the Zimmer over to any car cruises at all since you've owned it?
We have, just before Hot August Nights, and this is interesting, was that they have only 3 awards they give away at these car shows. It's not like back east where you have Chevys versus Chevys, Fords versus Fords, where you're competing against your own type of car and year and vintage. Out here, it's just one best of show, one best of paint, one People's Choice, and one Participants Award.
Right.
So they have one of these big shows. It's at Tamarack Junction. It's just one of the big casinos out here. And there's upwards of 300 and something cars that show up for this show. And the Zimmer won the Participants' Choice Award, which is about a 2-foot-high brass loving cup trophy, big wood base, where just the people who were registered in the show would vote for the best car of the show, and the Zimmer won.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like,
what are the cost you pay?
We're having a beer, and it's a big parking lot, and the DJ's going, and my friends come over and say, "Hey, you call one, drive it over." And so, you're pressing my chops, you're pulling my leg.
Yeah, because you got to pay off somebody.
Well, exactly. I had to pay off a lot of bodies. Yeah, so it gets a lot of notoriety, and it's just a lot of fun to drive. So
very cool. Yeah. Well, thank you for that insight on kit car versus replica car, Bronk. We always appreciate that, and we're going to take a break. And
okay, and give a call during the week sometime.
Yes, sir.
We'll touch base, and I hope everything is good.
Yeah.
And as I used to say back in the old TV land, keep on cruising.
Keep on cruising, my brother.
Have a great time, guys.
All right, talk to you soon. So long. Bye-bye. 516-572-7440. That's the phone number. You know you can get in touch with us that way. You can watch us on VonLive.tv/motormouthradio like the Bronk is doing right now. And you can also check us out. You can check out the live stream on motormouthradio.com, along with a lot of other shows. You'll hear them on iHeartRadio and Performance Motorsports Network. And right now, the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour, if you wash your car yourself. That's right, if you don't mind getting out the hose in the bucket and sitting in the driveway, you can be part of the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. Keep it where you got it. Got a lot more of this stuff coming your way right here on Motormouth Radio.
Quite frankly, there are better things to do with your time. Motormouth Radio on 90.3 FM, WHPC.
This is Glenn DeMilt. Join me every Tuesday and Saturday afternoon at 5 for 2 big hours of music and memories with the chairman of the board. It's Frank Sinatra on Sinatra Serenade. Each week we'll take you on a musical journey through the career of this entertainment icon. It's all about old Blue Eyes. So listen to Sinatra Serenade on WHPC 90.3, the radio voice of Nassau Community College.
Streaming online at ncc.edu/WHPC.
Have a question? Give the Motormouths a call, 516-572-7440.
Alrighty, that's the phone number to get a hold of us, 516-572-7440. Ray Guarino behind the shop bench. I'm Chris Switzer, handling the board duties and doing all kinds of stuff here. And you can also, like I said, watch us, VonLive.tv/motormouthradio. Watch us go, I don't know what to talk about. What do you want to talk about, Ray?
Or, like we've said in the past, if you're listening to the show as a download or podcast at some later date, feel free to call in and talk about, if you're the space-time continuum. You're listening to this show, but it's a month from now, and you want to talk about kit cars or resto cars. Call back and bring up the subject. We will revisit it. You may have to remind us, but we'll definitely do that. We like to do that for just for ourselves, but we'll even do it for our listeners as well.
And if you want to make Ray really happy, since it's one of those days that we're handing the show to the callers, if you're listening to us on Vaughn Live, or if you're listening to us on iHeartRadio or Performance Motorsports Network, even if you're streaming us from someplace other than the listening area, give us a call. Ray gets very happy when he hears from listeners that are not in the direct listening area of Garden City.
I do.
Yes, he does. He does. He really gets very happy. He gets giddy. He skips through the parking lot to the car. It's a little embarrassing, but we tolerate it. But
they're used to it.
516-572-7440.
I want to tell you about a sensibility and a feeling I had after Sunday's show. Now, this past Sunday... It
wasn't just the regular gas that you get.
No, we had Steve Linden, the appraiser, and our good friend on the show.
And you can hear that show on motormouthradio.com on the download page. It was a great show.
And the
why'd you get a feeling?
Pet wrangler that he was?
Varmint wrangler.
Varmint wrangler, yeah. He raised his eyebrows about that one. And said, what the hell is he talking about?
I was on a roll.
Yeah, I can see that.
Let's go to the phones. Let's go to the fun. Hi, you're on with the Motormouths.
David, I was calling to comment on that woman. No, I don't know anything about a car, but that woman really knew her stuff from Hot Rod Magazine. Or whatever.
Ilana Scher.
And this is John from where?
John from Freeport, I call myself.
Okay, you're our favorite ceiling fan operator.
I'm the ceiling fan.
Right.
Right. I have a very simple question for you. I have a 2001 Caravan, and the door on the right side, the passenger door, came off. I think it's replaced with either a 2002 door. The door is a year off. What I need to know is the power modules. There's two of them. They're sort of modular. and one's on top and one's on bottom. It's hard for me to sneak my fingers in there and fix it. I guess I should have a mechanic actually take it off. It's not that difficult. But I'm trying to get my power windows working, and I need to know if those two modules will meet or if the 2 years are prohibitive, because someone who tried to fit them up for me said that they're not fitting, but it's hard to get your pinky and thumb in there at the right angle, and I can't be sure that they fit or don't fit. Would you know?
You mean connecting with each other, actually physically connecting, fitting? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it seems to be a male and a female. There's two sets of them, like when you hook up a car stereo, it seems to be that type of thing on the door.
Okay,
so
there's two trains of thought here. The first one is I would take a ride over to Freeport Auto Wrecking. Go see Jimmy Rocco or Bart on the counter over there on Buffalo Avenue.
On which avenue?
Buffalo Avenue.
Okay.
It's right on the side of BJ's, by BJ's gas station.
Yeah, I have an idea where it is.
Right there in Freeport. You can't miss it. It's where the old Freeport Speedway used to be. And they're a dismantler. They can tell you if those parts... we used to use a thing in the day called Hollander manuals, where it was an interchange manual where you'd look up the car or the part, and it would give you the reverse lookup of what other cars that part will work in. And they certainly have to do this in their business because they're selling used parts, and they don't want to sell the wrong stuff.
Yeah, I've done business with them. They're very good. If you get any Clinton works over there, they have a woman works over there.
Right.
They're a good place. There's a couple of salvage places, but I think it's the same one you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go check it out. I think that they should fit, but how difficult is it to take off that car door?
You're going to need a couple of people. It's a big, heavy door.
Yeah.
But the other thing I would do first is find a mechanic that has the correct scanner that can look at the body control modules, and through bidirectional control, the scanner will tell you if the modules are talking to each other, if one of them isn't there or whatnot. And that's the other way to do it. That's the high-tech way of diagnosing
No, I can hardly get out of them. What I have is like a 5-prong on one side of the door and a female 5-prong on the other side. There's a high and a low, and they just about fit together, but I can't squeeze them together properly. I'm not sure if they fit perfectly, so I'm not going to be getting any sensor in there to do short circuits and so forth. But
right.
I have to run. I'm going to continue to listen, but I have to get somewhere. So
okay, John.
Okay, John. Thank you. We'll talk soon. Joe did, of course, our eye in the sky. Joe D did just text me and said, screw that. Flags has to be correct. So I guess they have to be a correct made. And he said flash. So I guess he's talking about a computer flash or a memory flash, right. I would imagine. Unless that was a news flash. One or the other. Well, still need some high-level computer. Thank you, Joe, for the input. But I'm thinking, there's a very good chance that the door could be of the same size and shape. Obviously, if 2001 to 2002, those Dodge Caravans, those Plymouth Voyagers, and the Chrysler Town and Country minivans the doors would line up. But all bets are off on the body module. No, the body module could be different based on the options in the vehicle. Sure. Now, I was just thinking to take it further down the road. I wanted to ask John, why couldn't he get the original module out of the damaged door that he was taking off, and see if he can bolt that on and take the... Well, then you could physically look at it, too. Yes. That's where I would have gone with it. I would have taken the module, unless it was damaged beyond... The door was damaged beyond repair, and you couldn't access the module. But then, like you say, taking it over to Freeport Auto Parts is probably a good idea, because at least there you can walk in with the module that you have in your hand. Well, they can just tell you by looking it up on a computer. Or even like... But, if one door had power windows and power lock, let's say, and the other one didn't, the module is most likely going to be different. And that's the sad part about cars that have been built within the last 20 years. There was a lot of running changes that went on. So even though the car looks the same, there's still a lot of stuff inside that has updated. But my guess would be if that 2001 door was not salvageable. I mean, if you can access the door, get the hardware out of there as best you can, and take that hardware and swap it out with the hardware that you have in the 2002 door. Because I would probably be very surprised if the attachment holes were different. I can understand if the module's different, but the way it bolts up to the door, I'm sure will probably be the same. So, but that's just a educated or lack of educated guess. 516-572-7440 is the phone number. So, yeah. So you were saying before we... I was saying about Steve. We had Steve, and of course he talked about investing and collecting and that end of the part of the market, the part of the hobby that makes you giddy. Yes. And I want to tell you something, that a sensibility that I had as I rethought the show, because I always think, a couple days later I'll think about things that happened, and for good or for bad or whatever. And
I know this has happened to me, and it's happened to other people. When you're around people who do a certain thing, like let's say you're around guys who everybody's got building race cars.
Sure.
You kind of want to build a race car.
Yeah, you get caught up in it.
Yeah, because it's something that you may want to do. Like with Steve, hanging out with Steve, the gasser guy. Yeah, I want to build a gasser, but I want to do that before. So it's not like he's bringing me back into it. He's not making me visit it, so that's really not the same.
So hanging around with Steve Linden, you want to go buy a $200,000 Porsche?
No, that's the interesting part. After thinking about it, I said, you know what? I still have absolutely no desire to have a car that's a collectible or an investment. I can take that. You can take that part of the hobby and throw it off a cliff for all I care. I really am resolute in that belief that I just don't want to do that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
So just I wanted to throw it out there because people tend to gravitate.
That's what I love about doing this show with you, is because we both are interested in the hobby, but in vastly different areas. I love talking to Steve Linden back and forth about autos as investments, as cars that are on their way up, as buying a vehicle, using it, enjoying it, maintaining it, and then selling it for a profit. That to me is a big turn on in this business, because I always do feel that if you're making money, you are doing it right. Not the way Jay Leno says that you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I don't mind talking about it.
I think you can make money in this business, and that's why I enjoy when I can buy a classic vehicle and use it, enjoy it, maintain it, and improve it, and then flip it for a higher number. To me, you call me blasphemous, but then again, I look at that Nomad that you want to turn it into a gasser, and I'm thinking of the time and the expense and the labor involved in doing so, and then I look at you and go, you're not 25 anymore, Peter Pan.
That's right. Now I know how to work smarter and more efficiently and get stuff done quicker than I did at that point.
I would hope. But truthfully, if you have to admit that that's the only thing you have on your side is old age treachery. Which overcomes youth and skill every time.
It does. It definitely does.
And that's why I look at it and say, I would much rather not have a project that takes every square inch needs attention, that you literally have to get that body off the chassis and start from the ground up to do what you want, when you could take that and sell it for a certain amount to another dreamer that thinks that he can put that thing back to museum piece quality.
Joe is very right. He said collectibles are restricting, and they are, because you really have to keep them in top shape for what they are. There's a lot of work involved in that.
That's the truth.
Yeah, it is restricting.
Joe's exactly right.
Yeah.
But that's work that when you and I talk about working on a vehicle, you like to invent. You like to MacGyverize. You like to sit there and see a situation, see a problem, and try and solve it.
Yeah.
I can't say a homegrown way, but in a way that's
mostly
not stock.
Right.
Which is fine. You'll still get it to work.
Yeah.
See, I like to open up a car or look at a problem in a vehicle and go, where's the book? Find the book, get the book. Okay, here's the book. The book tells me blah, 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 blah. And you're putting it back together the way the factory authorized.
Which I think is the most boring way you could do anything. They already did that. You don't have to prove it can be done. You know it can be done. They made 30,000 of them. Yeah, that's just a different way of coming at a thing.
No,
but the other thing, like even with the collectible cars, if they're sitting, let's say you have a nice block garage that's dry and they're under car covers, you crawl under that car after a month and there's going to be cobwebs, there's going to be dust. You got to clean it.
Oh, totally.
Oh, God, who wants to do that?
You got to see the spider that's under the TR6 now.
Yeah, I know.
I think he ate Lord Bentley.
Now, my car, I've been taking it out, not daily, but many times in a week. Yeah. And the only grime that's accumulating is the stuff that's accumulating from the road, which is the way I like it. But I want to talk about something else that I noticed when Jeff was over. I didn't get to talk about the glass rehab in my car at all.
No, you didn't.
So I boiled it down to a couple of talking points.
Okay. Oh, do you want to do the talking points? Let's take a break first.
Sure, okay.
Let's do that. Let's take a quick break right here at Motormouth Radio. When we come back, we'll be talking more about raised glass. Yes, I said glass. That's what I did say. And the door panels, too. Can we talk about those?
That's part of it.
Yeah, definitely want to talk about that, because it's kind of interesting way Ray went about it. Ray Guarino, I'm Chris Switzer. This is Motormouth Radio. You can check us out on Performance Motorsports Network. Of course, iHeartRadio. We're very proud of those places that have the guts and the fortitude to put this show on. We're number one with all males 30 to 50. Still trying to figure out why. We got more coming your way right here at Motormouth Radio. So please keep it where you got it.
Yeah, I want to know what the is wrong with my car.
You have a short in your horn. Motormouth Radio, 90.3 FM, WHPC.
WHPC, Garden City, New York. The voice of Nassau Community College.
Join WHPC's Daily News Wrap-Up, weekdays at 4:30 p.m., bringing you a complete report of the day's news home and abroad, as well as sports, weather, and many other informative features.
We're Long Island's FM alternative.
I were a car, I would go vroom, vroom, vroom.
If it's Motormouth, it's WHPC.
All right. Welcome back to Motormouth Radio. 516-572-7440 is the phone number. Ray Guarino behind the shop bench. I'm Chris Switzer, and when we left, we were talking about raised glass.
We're going to talk, I wanted to mention the hidden restoration costs, or hidden costs involved when doing a restoration that you just never see coming.
Okay.
Now, in the case of, I'm going to use my particular restoration because it's the one that I'm, most intimate with, but it transfers to other cars too. Now, if you took a car and took it all apart, I took my car all apart, but I didn't take the body and send it out to be media blasted, and
right.
I didn't go that far because first of all, I didn't think it needed it. Mm-hmm. Second of all, it was a lot more money and expense, and we don't, so I didn't do that. I was willing to live with certain things that, that wouldn't get done in that case. So here we are. Jeff was over last week. 3 days last week, I had him over doing the glass in the car, and it was a big ordeal. It's not as easy as people think it is just to say, let's change the weather strippings and rehab the glass.
Well, because you have to pull the glass out, then remove the old weather stripping, replace put new weather stripping in, and put the glass back in, right?
Yeah, and all the problems laid in there. And the first thing we saw when he was doing the front doors, there's a piece of stainless steel trim that holds the weather, the felt. And Jeff says, okay, I guess I'm going to take this off. He says, we got to see what's behind that. Now, there you go.
Yeah.
What could you find behind that? There's one big thing that everybody's thinking.
Crud.
Rust.
Yes.
And if you did find rust, now that's infrastructure rust. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to put the piece back on? Are you going to try and dress it? That's something that has to be decided at the moment.
Sure.
And those are the things when you buy the car, you don't see because they're now behind whatever was put back. So luckily in my case, we pulled the panel off and wow, it was really clean. There was dirt. There was dirt. We literally wiped it, touched it with a little bit of spray paint, and we're able to and with a clear conscience, we're able to put the parts back on saying,
awesome.
That was, thank God, not rusted, not destroyed. But any given car of that era, you could do that to and find a bad piece.
Oh, believe me, I totally know that. Where the rust is holding the piece on.
Exactly. That'd be the worst case scenario. I mean, you kind of see that because when you're touching the piece, you kind of know if it's shaky. But yeah, this is stuff that, and that's just one component of one operation on the car. There's thousands of them along the way.
Oh, totally.
Some of them that I did find and had to address, not many, and most of them that I didn't, luckily. But many people with cars that age, that's what you're facing.
Funny thing is, a lot of times you notice that a lot of guys in the middle of restorations, or a lot of guys will just totally ignore those pieces. Things like the felt that sits up against the glass. Mm-hmm. They're like, I don't bother with it. It's just don't worry about it.
They probably talked to a glass guy and got a price of what it was going to cost to have that done.
Yeah.
And Jeff sees this every day because he works on cars, hot rods, muscle cars, custom cars, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He also rehabs ice cream trucks, so he sees that too. But he says, he goes, you don't know how many times I had to call a guy over and show him, and he's like, and Jeff's point is, okay, what do you want to do?
Right.
For me to do my job right, I have to leave now. You have to take this car and have this fixed at whatever cost it's going to be from whatever shop that may not be budgeted for. The guy may not know how to go about it.
Sure.
And then call me back. And like you said, many times the people may opt just to have it Band-Aided back together.
Yep, they don't even bother.
Which rolls into the next point that I have.
Okay.
That even the good restoration parts that you buy from known companies that are, good.
Right.
don't always fit right.
Oh, no, they don't.
Drives me crazy.
Yep.
In the windows, Jeff found the rubberized molding, and of course, the inner wiper is a rubberized strip that the glass kind of rides on.
Okay.
So the inners are felt, the outers are rubberized. I'm sorry.
Right, correct.
And that one was, we did the passenger door first, and the stuff was 50 years old. It was original.
Sure.
Go to put the new one in, and there were holes. There weren't holes in the new one like there were holes in the original, so you had to drill holes. Okay, no big deal. But then there was this raised bump that was on the new one that wasn't on the old one that you had to remove. Now, maybe that fit another application.
I was going to say it probably fit another car, yeah.
Maybe that fit a Buick. I don't know.
Sure.
You know, and the broad sense that fits all A-bodies.
Mm-hmm.
We get over to the driver's side, and Jeff said, wow. He goes, this molding doesn't have the stuff the other ones had. I said, you know what? In 1981, when I did the windshield repair, I changed the felts and I changed the rubber on the driver's door.
Oh.
I said, so that's a restoration piece circa 1981. He goes, well, they made them better back then. In that, it was more of application specific, right?
Got it.
So there's another thing you face, you know, and you have to have somebody, if you're doing it yourself at home, I mean, many of us have the skills needed to do that. But when you run across a problem like that, now what do you do? Now now that's out of your skill set because now there's a problem. So what do you do? Can you call somebody? You know, can you call the manufacturer? I don't know. But that's why it's nice to have a guy like Jeff who does this all the time, who's seen it before and says, "Oh yeah, you know, I know what I got to do."
Well, we talked about this actually last week when I saw the door panels on the Pontiac because they look fantastic, and you were like,
I had to build those, by the way.
Yeah, and I thought, and here's the reason why, because you had mentioned that none of the holes lined up, everything was out of sync, and you had to pretty much, like you say, start a new path, reinvent the wheel, and drill new holes, which is kind of harrowing when you're talking about the expense of a reproduction door panel. It is,
yeah.
You know, you really don't feel this is necessary to do. But here's my theory, and I think we touched on it. The individuals that are putting those door panels on should have a well-rounded intelligence when it comes down to installing these things. And I think that's what the manufacturer is counting on. The manufacturer goes, I drilled a hole anyway, don't worry about it, because whomever is going to put this thing on knows it's not going to be his first rodeo.
I mean, I can even tell you this. I bought these plastic weather barrier panels that go against the door before the panel goes on.
Good thing, too.
And there's holes in there that are cut out for the window crank, for the door handle, and they're not cut out fully. They're like the circle is cut 3/4 of the way around. You have to tear it off.
Right, it's perforated.
Yeah. So you line up the big ones. You stick it up under the stainless, you line up the window crank and the door crank, and then you see the holes for the armrest don't line up. It's got to be higher. I'm like, and of course the corresponding holes in the door panel didn't line up because they had. So you're putting a screw in and you're tweaking it up a little bit. You get it in.
Oh yeah, but it's not just a simple install. I did the same thing with a set of Chevy SS door panels on a 65 Impala convertible. What a pain in the butt to try. And this was back in the late 80s. You think when the reproduction parts were better. What a pain in the butt to do it. It was literally stretching and pulling and tugging and heating up the panel so it can make the hole so we can get to the spot where it's supposed to be. It was an ordeal that involved many tools, a lot of cuts on the hands. But we did it. We were able to do it. But it took a lot longer than expected. And it really deflated my whole, what would you say, reliance on those type of parts, those type of reproduction parts.
Well, I look at it this way. I think the takeaway for me is people, and I would tell people this, you need to really be cognizant of your skill levels. You know, I looked at this panel, and what we're talking about is the little spears, the pushing clips that go into the holes on the doors. Now, they have to be right because the holes in the doors can't move. Right. And the holes that were in the panel to hold these clips were off. And it's in the perforated cardboard. So I had to go near a razor blade and kind of lower all of them. And I said, you know what? I paid a lot of money for these parts. I shouldn't have to be doing this.
You shouldn't.
But I'm doing it. And I could have ruined the panel. So the point I'm trying to make is to people in general, if you think you are not up to doing that, bring it somewhere. Because what's going to happen is you're going to ruin the panels you paid for. You're going to have to buy new ones again.
Right.
And it's going to be a very costly and very frustrating ordeal.
And the joy of putting on 60s GM door panels is that clip you're talking about clips on to the perforated cardboard. Now, when it clips on to the hole, it goes into the hole and then kind of slides up against the cardboard.
It
cuffs it and presses up against it. Now you go to put it on, put the door panel onto the door, you line that clip up with the hole, and usually with the ball of your hand, boom, you give it a shot, knock it in.
Right.
But if the clip is not lined up with the hole, and you're unaware of this, and you go, and you try and knock it in, what happens? The clip ends up tearing at the pressed cardboard area.
Yeah.
Now you take a chunk out of it.
Or worse, the clip could be so far off, you could just bend it. Now, they give you a bag of clips, so, and you can buy them. So
mighty sporting of them.
Yeah, they do. Well, anyway, Joe had just said, because Joe was in a dealership guy, factory guy for many years, and he did say, which is exactly correct, that the factory parts weren't a sure thing back in the day. They weren't making hand-built one-off cars.
That's for sure.
How many Chevelles, how many GTOs and the ones that came off the... And he said, back in the day, GM and they changed vendors and consolidated applications. So, all of that now comes to the restoration world. And I guess the company I dealt with is called PUI. It's a very big company in the restoration world, and a very good one. So, as good as they are, maybe they're among the better of the ones. I don't even know what the bad ones look like. I don't want to know.
Right.
If that's... I know they're very well trusted, but because they're good. What's a bad company like? God only knows.
Sometimes I think maybe it's better off they don't put a hole in the panel and let...
Yeah, you wouldn't have been able to make the hole, though, because, I got to say this. The materials they used were very good, and the cardboard that's back there was almost looked like a laminated cardboard, like the heat spacer plates I used on my carburetors are laminated wood.
Yeah.
You could see a shininess and almost like a plastic. And again, probably for moisture transfer.
Wow.
So I was in there with a razor blade, and it's plied. I'm cutting ply by ply. I'm saying, okay, at what point do I go through and catch the vinyl?
Right, which you don't want to do.
Which I didn't do. But you could have. I could have easily slipped and put a slit in the vinyl.
Wow.
So, if they put no hole there, and the hole is a nice punched hole. It's a very round, concentric punch hole. It was just a 1/4 inch too high in my case.
So annoying.
So, I don't know. I have hole punches. But that I can I can make a perfect hole with it, but I can't guarantee I wouldn't go through the vinyl.
Right.
So again, you really couldn't make that hole on your own. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. I guess the answer is you do the best with what you got, and you do your due diligence like I did. And instead of just lining things up and slamming it home, you look. I was behind the panel with the light, looking at every, and then I got to do it on every single. Luckily, there's only 4 per panel. And it's only on the fronts, not the rears. So.
Did you have? I didn't notice. Were there those chrome screws that were on either corner?
They go down the doors. 4 of them on it. No holes in the panel for that either.
Right.
But you have holes in the door. That I used in all.
I was going to say.
What I did is I looked at the holes on the door and I took a Sharpie marker and drew a line down.
Good.
And then I measured up. I said, okay, 3/16.
Right, because you have to punch a hole in the door panel while the door panel's on the car.
So I did that I followed my Sharpie line up, went up about 3/16, put it all in there, and then I was able to get the screw in.
Good thing there's a carpet there, so you're not really having to be super duper precise, but you got to be in a ballpark.
Correct.
Back to the phones and back to the fun. How you on with the Motor Mouths?
Gentlemen, what's up?
What's up, Christian?
How are you, my brother?
What's happening? Good, man.
You sleeping through the night?
I'm getting there.
Oh, I'm going to keep asking you.
Yeah, no, I'm getting some stuff dialed in with this thing. It's a little tricky, but things are running smooth. And after a few headed gaskets and a few passes with some feedings and a couple successful passes into the pits and sleeping. And
Okay, how's the exhaust?
Oh, yeah, like I said, a few headed gaskets and 10 minutes.
It follows the intake.
A couple flange gaskets and a little bit of a purge of coolant, you know the deal.
As long as the exhaust is working.
I get dirty at work, I get dirty at home, and I just keep on going, that's all.
Beautiful thing.
Be proud,
it's a beautiful thing.
It is.
But, it's all good.
I love it.
Yeah, I might be a little delirious, but...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's okay.
You got about another 20 years of it.
Yep.
Oh, and then it gets real fun.
Yeah. Oh, like you said about the shock unloaded, yeah.
Yeah, believe me, I'm about a chapter and a half ahead of you, but Ray is like volumes ahead of both of us. So.
I know.
So
been there, did it. He's done.
He's our go-to guy now.
He could go to his cruise nights and hang out.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got my life back.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes the kids will even come with me, which is really cool.
Which is good. No, it's good. And you know, it's a good example. You're talking about the kids and everything like that. Is you're talking about the cruise nights, and there's something I wanted to do with cruise nights, and I don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have some apparatus to help out with this. I had a vision and a thought about cruise nights, and like when we used to meet in the parking lot, like Burger King back in the day, or Dunkin' Donuts, and a bunch of guys get together. We lost the drive-in theaters on Long Island. You know that?
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
Is there one left? Or no?
Not on Long Island.
It used to be Westbury, I think was the last
well,
one.
that's, yeah.
It's all done, right?
Yeah,
so we're
they're all
done with
done.
drive-ins, right? I got this idea because when I was over at Kismet, Fire Island, there's a guy that opened up a little bar or whatever. And what he does is he's got a film projector screen, and he's got a laptop with a PowerPoint.
Mm-hmm.
And he's playing old movies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You could buy a blow-up screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how cool would that be? Like, you know, you go down to the train station, I'll donate a projector screen. If someone's got a PowerPoint, we could play some old, you know, Touring Blacktop, something.
Christian, I'll tell you something. Our good friend Dennis the Goat Man did this at Steve's Collision in Port Jeff years ago. He bought a DVD player. It was a projector with a DVD player in it. You put the DVD in, and they use the shop door. But now they sell these blow-up screens. They use them in parks.
The blow-up screen, exactly.
Yeah. And we had like a movie night in February when everybody was cabin fevered. We were all, you know, inside. We went down to the body shop and hung out and had a night with car guys and gals and watched the movies.
They still do drive-ins upstate New York. I passed one on 17.
Hyde Park.
You drive up at night, you see it. You know,
no, I go
Hyde Park. You know?
No, I go up to in Poughkeepsie. I go to one. I just went. I didn't go. I went this year. What am I saying? I did go this year. Right.
Well, you know, cruise night to the drive-in. You know.
Well, yeah, you'd have to.
What you do is just plug it in on a thing, and people show up, and before you know it, you got another Belmore, and then you know, politicians are involved, and
well,
admission, and you know, you got to go somewhere else.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
You know how it works.
Sure. Exactly. Well, let's not jump the gun. Let's have fun first, then we'll ruin it.
Yeah, with the politicians.
Yeah.
Well, I got a sound system. See, I'm crazy because I got a sound system that I could use, and I could play like, you know, Nitro Fire, you know, and blow the doors off everybody, like, you know, just have nitro stuff going on all night long with that, you know.
Yeah.
With Funny Car Reunion or something like that. But, you know, the kids get to see, you know what I mean? The kids aren't seeing anything, you know, they don't know racetrack to go to, so, you know, you got to give them a little, you know, horsepower to look at, you know, without the dangers of people doing stupid stuff going down Sunrise Highway, you know.
Yeah.
I think we need to drive in. I can't do it. I can't fund it. But
you know, I know down in
listening can do it.
Christian, down in Sayville, they have the Sayville Summerfest down there. I think one of the things they do regularly during the week is a drive-in movie night. And they just happen to have a building there that has a big white wall, and they use that.
That's it. Yeah.
And they do it in Sayville. It's all through the summer. You know, I think they probably stopped it by now. But there's towns that do that.
People could stream in on their cell phones, the speaker. You don't even have to have the speaker hanging in your window. You know?
No, it's true.
Or tune in on, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. You can actually do a small transmitter, and you can tune in on an AM band or an FM band. Yeah.
Motormouth Live on the widescreen.
There you go.
At a cruise night.
Yeah.
Yeah, the joys of watching radio.
Now, I hang out with Vic at the cruise night. We hide in the back. We have our own little spot, and no one bothers us.
Yeah, that's kind of scary, though.
I know, but I like being there because it's intimidating for everybody else.
Because Ray is scary sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and Vic will keep the pests away.
He does.
Vic runs cool. Sometimes, so
Vic stands.
Handle him.
That's a private lot. Get out of here.
You can take Vic in large doses. Some people can't. But then again, you know, Vic, you know, back in the day.
Yes, different. Different Vic.
When you put the big shaft in charge.
Different Vic, yeah.
I dealt with Vic for many years, man.
Yeah.
In his prime.
Yep, and it's made you a stronger man for it.
Vic is listening now. I remember back in '83, we were at Englishtown, you know, in the middle of the night after we used to sit there and wait for the whole entire parking lot to empty out. We would chain our barbecue to the van and hang out.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Vic would be, you know, a couple cases knee deep into you know what, man, and it was a party, man, and, you know, before you know it, we were stealing the Winston, Welcome Winston race fan signs off of the fence and...
Christian, that was you?
Yeah,
that was a couple of rows down from you. What are you kidding me?
I think Christian about the races, not the swap meet.
Oh, I was at the swap meet.
Guys used to buy the slicks, and they would drive around towing, you know, in the, oh my God, if it rained and there was mud, forget it.
Yep.
The good old days.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that all too
But,
well.
you know, Vic used to instigate a lot of that stuff, so, you know, you get it going. He's definitely the catalyst of a lot of funny stuff.
Not our Vic. Not our sweet Vic. Come on. All right. Well, Food for thought.
Yeah, we got to think a little drive-in movie thing. I have some equipment I could donate to this source.
Okay.
You know, I have like some old screens and stuff. You know, it's
Well,
worth a try.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a try.
Right? I don't know. It's just an idea. Throwing that out there.
Okay.
All right, my brother. We'll talk soon.
Later.
All right, bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. 516-572-7440 is the phone number to get a hold of Ray and Chris and Motormouth Radio for the next couple of minutes. 516-572-7440. And the Motormouth Radio on the Group of the Hour. If you wash your car yourself, what? The last time you went through a car wash, they vacuumed up your Bluetooth. You're not going there anymore. You're washing it yourself. But pat yourself on the back.
Keep your Bluetooth in your head.
You're part of the Motormouth Radio on the Group of the Hour. Keep it where you got it. Got a lot more coming your way.
The Motormouths will be right back with your car questions. Give us a call at 516-572-7440.
WHBC 90.3, the radio voice of Nassau Community College, is looking for individuals, businesses, charities, or organizations in our local global community that would like to donate to support our radio station. Whether you listen locally or online, here's how it works. Go to our webpage at ncc.edu/WHBC and click Donate Now. Or if you prefer, you can send a check to WHBC Radio, 1 Education Drive, Garden City, New York, 11530. Make your check payable to the NCC Foundation. In the memo of your check, write WHBC, Donate Now. Any contribution will help defray our operating costs, and it's tax deductible. This message was brought to you by the radio voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHBC. Streaming online at ncc.edu/WHBC.
Hi, this is Butch Patrick, and you're listening to Motormouth Radio, just like me.
All righty.
Welcome back to be Motormouth Radio guest, Butch Patrick.
That's right. He's going to be on in a couple of weeks.
He will, with Pat Priest.
We'll be looking forward to it. Ray Guarino, I'm Chris Switzer. This is Motormouth Radio. We're going right to the phones, right to what Ray calls the fun, and say hi, you're on with the Motormouths.
Am I on?
Hello. Who's this?
This is Lorraine. Is this my gravy meat man?
Hey, Lorraine, how are you?
Hey!
Oh, my God. I can't believe I got through. I'm not listening because I'm in my Model A, and as you know, I don't have a radio.
Yeah.
But I wanted to call because I was so excited. I rebuilt my carburetor. I just wanted to let you know.
Right.
Fantastic.
And I did it by myself, and it was awesome. I changed my head gasket, and I don't know what you guys are talking about on the radio, though. This could be completely unrelated, and I'm really sorry if I'm screwing up your show.
No, it's not. We're talking about pitfalls of restorations, and that certainly falls right in line with it.
Sure does.
Oh, cool. Okay, because like I said, I'm in my car, and I have no radio. So, but anyway, I did it. I got intimate with my car, and I got my hands in that carburetor, and let me tell you, now I know what a float is. Now I know what it looks like. Now I know what that needle jet thingy is. And now I understand my choke. And it was so intimate.
Nice.
Holy mackerel. And I had 3 guys telling me, you can't rebuild a carburetor. You're a girl. Yeah, because you're a girl.
Oh, right. Like that makes all the difference in the world.
Can you imagine? He says to me, you're going to ruin your car, Lorraine.
You're going to be kidding me.
I swear to God. So I did it, and when I started the car, I was, like, elated, you know. So I just wanted to let you guys know that I did that, and I'm so proud of myself. Well, and the other thing is, last night I was in Westbury, and they're trying to get, like, this little car show thing going.
Yeah.
In Westbury, behind the Rite Aid. Right across the street from Town Hall.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there last night, and there were, like, 15 cars there, and it was lovely. It was intimate, and the cars were beautiful. So on a Wednesday night this fall, I don't know if I'm allowed to pitch this, but people are hanging out in the parking lot behind the Rite Aid, and it was really fun.
Nice.
So,
well, on that note, Lorraine, if you're out tonight, I'm going to be cruising down to Limbrook. It's the last night of their cruise night behind Miller's Hardware on...
oh, is that so?
Yep, tonight's the last night.
Awesome. Are you going to be there?
Yes, I will.
Oh, cool. I'll show you my carburetor.
Excellent. I'd love to look at your jets.
I would just like to know, with these individuals, these men that told you that you couldn't rebuild your carburetor because you were a girl, what male equipment is needed to rebuild a carburetor that you're lacking?
I know. You know what? You really, all you need to rebuild the carburetor, is that what you're asking me?
Yeah.
All you need is, first of all, you need thumbs.
Guns, right?
And fingers.
Yeah.
And a screwdriver.
Right.
And a rebuilding kit.
Right.
And a book.
A couple of rags.
They send you little instructions.
Okay.
And, of course, if you end up with one jet extra, you call Ray, which I did. And inside, all the way down where the needle jet is seated, there was another little jet in there, and I didn't know, but I called Ray, and he said, Lorraine, I don't know, just snoop around and see what you... And guess what? I did. I found it, and I took off that piece again, and I redid it, and I put it all together again. But all you need is you need to know how to read, and you need to have fingers.
Well, that lets out most of our listeners. But, Lorraine, the other thing I want to tell you is...
You have a brain in your head, and you have to... And you know what? I didn't even get that dirty. You spray the stuff in the carburetor, you wipe it out. I mean, it really wasn't a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
The thing I wanted to tell you was many carburetor kits come with additional extra parts because the kits cover a wide range of applications. So sometimes you'll have those extra parts that you don't need, and there's no reason to be worried about it.
Exactly. And you know what? If I hadn't figured out where that little jet was, it really wasn't a big deal because that actually wasn't my clogged jet. And obviously, if I started it and it didn't work, I would have said, I got to snoop around now and fine. But, for the most part, I did a good job. And the car started. Beautiful. And now I understand my choke.
Yeah.
That was the beautiful part of it. I understand my choke.
Well, when you can learn something about anything, that's the beauty of that procedure. You learn something.
And I'm 55, and I'm still learning about my car.
Yep.
I mean, it's like now I want to go and open up my the little peekaboo spot on my timing gear.
Oh, okay.
I want to look at my timing gear because if I could change my timing gear, I'm going to be like the queen of Model 8.
Yeah, well, I'll vote for that.
Yeah, I want to know where Lorraine, I want to know where your peekaboo spot is.
Listen, you are welcome to come and watch me open my peekaboo spot. We'll put it out on the garage. We even could do it in the driveway.
All right.
I don't know what to say.
Why don't we do it in the road?
That is an open invitation, honey. Just bring your screwdriver.
Sounds good to me.
Lorraine, you have a way of making this show perfect. You know that?
And possibly off the air.
I love you guys. I don't know. You're probably running out of time, so I'm going to let you go. And I love you guys. I'll see you maybe tonight.
Okay, Lorraine.
Thanks, Lorraine.
Right. Bye-bye.
Talk to you later. Bye. There were about 100 different promo clips in that one.
I will go through them later.
I'm flustered.
You should be.
I'm heated here. I'm flustered.
Yeah. Lorraine told me about that earlier in the summer. I talked about it on the show.
Yes, I remember.
And and I had no doubt in my mind that she could pull that off, and she did. I'm very happy to hear that.
That is a scream and a half. No, I'm proud of her. She was able to. Well, I can't think of some knucklehead that would tell Lorraine she can't rebuild a carburetor.
Like you said, like she said, you need to have some dexterity, fingers at work, a couple of rudimentary tools, and a brain. And you have to be able to read, because those carburetors are very, very big. Carburetors in general are not really complicated, but those are very simplistic.
Let's see if we can get a minute's worth of phone call in.
Okay.
Let's go to the phones. Hi, Ron with the Motor Mouths.
Hey, guys, me, Rob. How you doing?
Oh, Rob, you got about a minute. What's up, bro?
Yeah, I'll make it real fast, which is out of character for me. I know.
Yes.
Pitfalls of restoration. Where do I begin?
You begin at the end.
Where do I begin? But the worst I had was the Mustang. When I pulled the cowl apart, before I pulled it apart, I bought the patch panels for the cowl, for where the air comes in the cowl. Once I got it all apart and I saw just how completely wiped out the cowl was, I had to go and get the entire cowl replacement, panels.
There you go.
Full top, full bottom. The problem was the vendor had a policy of not taking, sheet metal return after like 30 days. And this was already 6 months had gone by by the time I already started the job. So the bottom line was, I said, you're talking a pair of patch panels, which are $35 a piece that you don't want to take back, all right, for, return, so I can buy a piece of $300 sheet metal.
Right.
All right, so that doesn't quite make sense to me. And on top of that, that'll leave a bad taste in my mouth that I wouldn't want to buy anything else from your restoration company.
Right.
Well, they rethought their policy really fast, and they went and they took the return.
Good. Very good. Because you're right.
So
you spend 10 times the money on a repeat sale. So that's... Yeah, but you're right. A lot of times you buy parts, they sit for a long time, you don't get to that restoration for years later, and then you have a problem. Our problem is we got to go.
Is willing to work with me. And the best part is I got it under the wire.
Very cool.
All right, my brother. We'll talk soon.
Have a good afternoon, guys.
Okay, Rob. Bye-bye. Well, it looks like it, Ray.
Yes, it does.
Pulled off another hour of fine, outstanding automotive talk programming right here at Motormouth Radio. For Ray Guarino, I'm Chris Switzer. We'll talk on Sunday. And always remember, don't follow us home. See ya.
Bye.
From a town near Oyster Bay, Long Island, comes the show devoted to the music of Long Island's own Billy Joel. This is Piano Man on 90.3 FM, WHPC, Garden City, New York.